Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Destination Loading with Lucy. We have our very special guest today, Miss Brittany Arrington. So,
Hello.
everyone, welcome Brittany. And Brittany, thank you so much for joining us here, where we try to help people evolve from where they are to where they want to be.
Well,
So,
it's a
how are
pleasure.
you today?
I'm great. Hopefully, you're doing well.
Oh,
Um,
I am.
it's a pleasure to be on Destination Loading today. So, hopefully, I will have some insightful things to share, or you'll just get to know about me a little bit more. But I'm excited to get into it.
Awesome. So, for those of you that don't know, Brittany is a new mom, and last week was something that I was not aware of, National Breastfeeding Awareness Week. And so, Brittany had posted this very heartwarming um, post about breastfeeding, and let me share that, so you can see what we're talking about here. Um, she talked about how challenging it was, how much of a blessing it was to be able to breastfeed her son now for 14 months. And so she also talked about not receiving support. So I thought, what better way to help people understand the importance to a new mom to have that support, and as well as a business professional um, experiencing and making the choice to breastfeed. So let's get it straight from someone who's experienced it. So Brittany, tell us a little bit about who Brittany Arrington is, and a little more about that post.
So, I am she. I am Brittany Arrington, and I am a professional in different realms. So, not only am I a mother, I am a realtor, and I also am a nurse. So, for me, having a child really wasn't in my like 10-year plan. That I would be kind of like the cool auntie forever without a baby. But I did know if I did have a child, the type of mother that I desired to be. And going through that process, pregnancy, and I had some challenges that I spoke of in the post. So a lot of people may not know, but when I was pregnant, you get this option to do genetic testing on your fetus, and I opted in. I talked to my fiance about it, and he was like, I don't think it would change my outcome, like what I would feel about the baby, but we could do it. And I just, being a nurse, I'm like, I just want to be aware. If they can tell me in advance that there'll be a challenge, at least I can prepare. So I had the testing done, and at the time I didn't know what really, like, what it meant. It wasn't explained to me, but long story short, the genetic material was so crazy and so messed up. They were like, somebody has to go lay eyes on this baby inside of you. And so when I found out I was pregnant, I was so excited, like so excited that I didn't realize that I would be that excited. But I had this overwhelming feel of like doom, almost like I felt like something was going to be wrong. And so when I had that moment when they told me like, okay, now you have to go to a specialist, it was like, this is it. This is the thing that I feared, something is wrong. And I remember going, and they scanned all his little organs. They scanned his heart and his kidneys, and hey, this is his stomach. And I always was praying, but I prayed, God, I want a healthy, intelligent, a beautiful child. But if you would grant me this baby and he would be okay, I promise you, it would be no sacrifice too big that I won't do. And so, towards the end of my pregnancy, there was like all this crazy stuff going on with formula and like shortages and recalls. And I remember having a pep talk with myself because all the other pregnant moms are like, oh, I'm already, leaking. I'm getting colostrum. And I'm like, I'm not getting anything. And I just like, God, I want to be able to breastfeed. Like, I want to be able to provide for my child. And previously, I was a neonatal nurse. And so we always, especially with premature babies, it's just easier for them to digest. So we're like always pro breastfeeding. And so, anyways, he was born. I said no to formula into the bottle initially, and we did it. I mean, it was rough. Like, poor Latch, he had a little short jaw when he was born. Not really like even though I have provided the instruction for many mothers, like in my career, I didn't actually have many people. Like I didn't have like somebody there in my home. Like I wanted a doula, and I actually had a great time. Crown of Glory, an amazing doula service. And I did subscribe to some of her classes, but I didn't have that person in home with me that was that could say like, hey, this is how you solve this problem, or if you get a clogged duct, like this is what you do. And so I kind of had a lot of trial and error, and it was painful trial and error, but we kept at it. And so anyways, some of the other challenges that I faced was like lack of support. And I won't even say that it was like necessarily intentional, but I feel that as a people, and especially as a Black person, we are very big on tradition. So if that's what we saw, then okay, it's great. But if everybody that we saw, they didn't breastfeed, they gave a bottle, you know, it's it is hard to adapt. I think me and other people that had conversations, even me, I would judge, I think in the past, like a mom for like pulling out her boob in public. And it's like now I have a child who pulls the boob out for himself. And so I had to, it really is like life changing, and it's eye opening. And so, I went back to work at 8 weeks, and I remember having visitors like my baby's 4 weeks old, and external forces, maybe on a phone call, or like, why is she not giving him a bottle while you're visiting? And it's like, I didn't birth a child to accommodate visitors. Like, go wash a dish. Like, and it for the person who doesn't understand all that breastfeeding encompasses, it just seems like a selfish way of like, oh, you're lazy. You don't want to wash bottles, or, you want that baby to be attached to you. And I'm going to tell you, at 14 months, at a 28-pound baby, like yanking on you, it's not like there's 10 other things I could tell you right now that I would want to do than to kind of be enslaved to being his like food source. Like I said, I prayed to God for that healthy, intelligent, beautiful child. And so no matter how sacrificial it is, like, I don't get to go out with my friends at the beck and call. I've never spent the night away from him because he nurses every night to go to bed. But it's okay. Like I would do that. And so I think the lack of support came from a lack of understanding. And there was no desire to understand. It was more so like, oh, that's weird, whatever, that's just how she is. And even I remember, and like a lot of people don't know, like breastfed babies are chunkier, that most of them. And so I remember being at a restaurant, one of be my fiance's favorite restaurant, and I was it was my birthday dinner, and I was with my cousin and the baby, and I heard a lady made a comment. She's like, she ought to be ashamed, that fat old baby, like she just overfeeding him. And the old me would probably, get so offended. But again, it goes back to not understanding. My baby is well fed and gets nutrients from the source. Like this milk is tailor made for him, and whatever he needs, it provides. So there's no way I could be overfeeding him, because he just gets, he gets what he wants, what he needs. So it really it opened my eyes, and it helped me be more understanding, more empathetic, like across the board, not just when it came to like being a mother, but it also wanted me, or it made me want to create like this mommy community, because I feel like millennial moms, if that's what you want to call us, we're kind of taking back our time, reclaiming our time, reclaiming our right to choose like how you mother your child, and that you can say, okay, this is tradition, but it's not a tradition that I subscribe to. And so you can either subscribe to this program or you just won't, be around. And so that was really the gist of that post. And I wanted to share it. And I had a few comments that moms say like, thank you for sharing this, because it's not easy. And you feel guilty. Like you feel guilty admitting that it's not easy. Like one time his dad even said, you say you love breastfeeding so much, but then you saying like it's so painful. And it's like, but those two things can exist at the same time. Like it is uncomfortable, and it was very painful in the beginning. But I love it because it is for my child, and that's what he desires. So
So yeah, it's kind of like um, childbirth in itself, right? It's to go through the process of actually giving birth is quite painful. But when you come through that process and you are holding your bundle of joy that you love so dearly and cherish so much, you forget about how painful the process was and focus on the gift that's before you. So
right.
how, with all of that being said, how did motherhood change you? Even though you didn't see it in your future, and I think your mother, God bless her, would ask you to not say you don't want children. No, please don't say that. So how did that change you?
um, it changed me in the sense of, I think, submitting to the unknown in the sense of
Mm,
like, I'm very, I don't like to say I'm like a type A personality, but I probably am. And I like control. Like, I have a plan, and I have a plan if that plan doesn't work, and then I have a third plan in case those two don't work. Um, but it allowed me to be soft and to lose control and to still operate in chaos, because I think so many times, like, we as professional women, and especially professional young Black women today, you get so caught up in productivity. Like, you got to accomplish this, and your house has to be clean, and it has to be aesthetically pleasing, and you have to dress nice, and you need to have a nice body, and you need to do all these things. And like, when that baby comes, for the average person, that all goes out of the door. um and I remember thinking like, oh my God, my house, my house, my house. And it's like, that house is fine. Like, most of the people that's on TikTok or that you see on, you know, all the stuff is just thrown in the corner. Like, it's not that their house is immaculately clean. It's like they have learned how to function and lose control. And so that was the biggest change for me. It also allowed me to be, I was always a compassionate person. But it also allowed me to be compassionate, but at a limit, because you have to pour into your child. And I found myself a lot, like, especially during my pregnancy and pre-pregnancy, I would give and give and give and didn't have anything to give myself. But
mm,
once you have the child and you're like, if I take away everything I have, I'm taking away from him, then you're okay putting those boundaries. And I don't care if you like the boundary or not, like, that is what it is. And so I think overall, it kind of ignited a fire in me to really get in tune with like what is really important, because a lot of things that we put value on or we invest a lot of our time in, it's like 20 years from now, that's not going to matter. What's going to matter is like what that child thinks of you, or what he thinks you think of him. So it just really made me put a lot of things in perspective, and I'm very thankful for the experience. Yep.
so were there any things that when you were growing up as a child that you wish that your mother or family circle would have done differently, that you were intentionally trying to make sure you incorporate as a mother into your child's life?
I think it kind of goes back to like the productivity thing. Like, not, like I said, I prayed for my child to be successful. I prayed for him, to be whatever it is he wants to be. But I think I'm very intentional about not trying to, I want to guide you on what's right. Right. Because what's right and what's wrong is usually pretty like black and white. There's some gray areas, but I don't want, I don't put titles on him. Like, people have said, oh, he's so big, he's gonna be a football player. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't want to instill in him that you have to please me by being what I saw you as. Like, sometimes I'll even say he'll be tinkering with stuff. I'm gonna look at my little engineer, because I want him to know like there's life beyond being big and black. Like, you can be big and gentle. You can be an engineer, you can be the president, you can have your own welding company, you can be a plumber who makes $1 million. Like, you can be so many things. You can be an artist, you can be an actor. I just want him to know like it's limitless, and mama's gonna be cheering no matter what. Like, long as you're not doing wrong, wreaking havoc on your life and other people's lives, I'm going to be like right there. And I always felt supported, but I think that, again, talking about millennial moms, it's like you should go through those emotions that you feel as an adult that stem from your childhood, and you should make changes. Like,
Mhm.
and that's, if I could go back and say like one thing that I really, I think, long for, it's okay. Like, it's okay to have a bad day. Like, it's okay to not be productive today, and it's okay to not be what, inside that box of like what somebody thought that you should be. And so that is really like my main thing, is that whatever you feel is your purpose,
Mhm.
I don't control that. And so all I can do is feed into you and teach you what's right, so that you can fulfill that purpose. So that's my
Awesome.
intentionality.
So, with all of what you said, I heard you say you prayed.
Mhm.
Um, in your post, you said you promised God some things. So, where, and how does your faith come into play with all that you have going on? Because you wear quite a few hats.
Yeah. I don't think anything would be accomplished if I didn't have faith.
Mm.
Because I can never see, like, it never makes sense. Like, when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Like, I remember the first time I was a travel nurse, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pack my stuff up and I'm gonna go to California. I think I'm gonna stay with my friend. I don't know, and I'm sure, like, you're probably like, this girl is crazy. But I always know like it's gonna be okay. And that is from faith. And I think the other part of faith is like, I always try to say like, I'm very fearless. That kind of changed when you have a child. You have different fears, but in the sense of like, I don't fear change as much as maybe like the average person, or like uncertainty. And so I feel like my faith has allowed me to, like, when I got pregnant, I'd always said I do not want a kid. And I'm like, I didn't allow the fear of like, will I be a good enough mom to hinder me? And I just did it. Like, I had never done it before. How am I gonna breastfeed and do all this? And I'm gonna go to work, and everybody said that's so hard. And he it's gonna be okay. Like, it's gonna get done. So I think my faith plays a major role into everything that I do in life. Like, nothing I've ever done probably made sense to the people who know me, that when I got ready to do it. But I knew that if I said I'm gonna do it, it's gonna get done. So I attribute pretty much all of my success to like me stepping out on faith.
And what is that faith rooted in? What what are you having faith in to make those steps?
I mean, that faith that I have found what God's purpose is for my life, and um that it's bigger. It's always bigger than what I'm doing right now. Like, and the theme is, because I sat there and I was thinking to myself yesterday, like, what is my purpose? And I think we get caught up in like purpose being like a title, like a job title, or
Mhm.
because I'm a nurse and I'm a realtor, and people ask me like, which one do you like more? And I'm like, neither. Like, they're synonymous in a sense, because I'm helping people. But I realized that my purpose in life is like advocacy. Like, I will be the one, because I don't mind like ruffling feathers and doing that stuff. So it's like, I'm the one who will advocate for breastfeeding. I'm the one that's going to advocate for you to have pumping rooms, or being able to nurse, like, or whatever, like in your public. I'm the one that says, hey, you can be a real estate agent today and a mom and a nurse on the weekends. Like, or you don't have to be a perfect A student and you will still be successful. Like, so that's kind of always been like, I guess, like finding my purpose, and my faith is rooted in like God's purpose for my life. And I honestly do feel like it's like advocacy, um advocacy, and I don't want to say inspire, because I don't like that, but I want to read a text message that I received yesterday. But I always want to let people know like it's you're capable like of doing
Mhm.
that. So I received a text from someone that's near and dear to me, that also has decided that they want to use me as a realtor. And what they said to me was, I'm so extremely proud of you. Literally, when I'm doubtful about my life goals, I look at you and I know it can happen for me. With that being said, I'm ready to start purchasing some property. And I think that, like, when I look at my success in life, like, of course, I like nice things. Like, I want dollars. But I really think, like, my purpose is that, like, because somebody may have a poor opinion of me, or they had a bad interaction with me in life, but like my success to me is measured on like how many people that I touch. And like when somebody says like, girl, I saw you doing it, I know I can do it. If you went to breastfed for 14 months, I know I can do it. If you became a real estate agent, I know I can do it. If you overcame debt and you went to financial freedom, I know I can do it. And so that's where like my faith is rooted in my purpose, in knowing that it's not just about me. Like what I'm doing is so much bigger than just like, oh, that's good. Like, I accomplished this, put the plaques on the wall, the degrees on the wall. Like there's somebody who needs to see that to keep going. So
Brittany, I am so very proud of you.
thank you.
So I'm gonna get through this without tearing up, but um, and you're absolutely right. I remember watching you grow from uh, uh, um, your primary years into the woman you become today. And one thing has been consistent with you is your faith. And when you put your mind to doing something, or even when you speak it, you believe it. I'll never forget. And we'll end on this note. Um, when I had a business, a shoe store, and I had a client come in driving a Scion TC, and I had never seen that vehicle before. I was like, "Oh, that is so nice. What is that?" So she allowed us to go outside and look in her vehicle, and you went out there and looked in that car and said, "That's what I'm gonna have. My parents gonna buy me that one day." And I looked at you. I said, "This girl is crazy. Well, she just think money grow on trees." But God fixed it, and I think less than a year after you made that statement, you had that vehicle brand new.
I did.
So, continue to let your light shine in dark places. Continue to touch lives of people in every aspect. Continue to be the great mom that you are. You inspire me in so many ways. So, I'm eternally grateful for the opportunity to be called mom to you. And I just thank God for you and all that you're doing and all the lives that you're going to touch. What an amazing legacy that True is having built for him. So thank you again for coming around to Destination Loading, where we help evolve people from where they are to where they want to be. Thank you so much.
Thank you.